They say your golden years are supposed to be golden. They lied. I'm sitting here on my tiny balcony in Pattaya, watching another sunset paint the sky orange and red. At 70, this wasn't supposed to be my life. 3 years ago, I stepped off that plane from Chicago with $180,000 in savings and dreams of living like a king in Thailand. Now I can barely afford instant noodles. My name is Sean O'Connor, and I need to tell you something that might save your life. Because what happened to me in this beautiful, dangerous country could happen to you too. You worked your whole life for this, I whisper to myself, taking another sip of warm water. Can't even afford beer anymore. 45 years of breaking. You're back and this is what you get. The cruel truth is that sometimes the dreams we chase in our final years become the nightmares that destroy us. Just 8 months ago, I had everything. A stunning 26-year-old Thai girlfriend named Ploy. Luxury apartment overlooking Pattaya Bay. Respect from every expat in the city. They called me Lucky Sean at the bars. Now they cross the street when they see me coming. Here's the thing about rock bottom. It has a way of showing you who you really are. And what I discovered about myself wasn't pretty. The money is gone. Worse than that, my dignity is gone. At 70 years old, after working construction in Chicago for 45 years, raising 3 kids and doing everything right, I never expected to end up feeling like the world's biggest fool. You think you're too smart for this. You think your life experience will protect you. That's exactly what I thought. That's exactly why I fell so hard. But here's what nobody tells you about retirement in Thailand. Paradise has a price tag you can't see until it's too late. And by the time you realize what's happening, you're already drowning. Let me take you back to where this nightmare began. Chicago, February 2021. The temperature hit -25, and my arthritis was killing me. I'd been living alone since my wife Carol died of breast cancer 2 years earlier. Loneliness is a disease that eats you alive from the inside. And at 67, I was dying of it. Our house felt like a tomb. 43 years of marriage, and suddenly, I'm microwaving frozen dinners for one, watching Netflix until I fall asleep in my recliner. Every morning I'd wake up and think, is this it? Is this all that's left? My kids tried their best. Dad, you should get out more, my daughter Sarah would say. Maybe try one of those senior dating sites. I did try, had coffee with 3 nice women my age. But something was missing. I felt invisible, like society had written me off as expired. Goods. That's when my neighbor Jim showed me those pictures from Pattaya. Jim had moved there the year before and kept posting on Facebook. Beaches, smiling locals, plates of food that cost $3. But what caught my attention were his posts about money. Living like a millionaire on a pension, he wrote. What costs me $3,000 a month in Chicago covers everything here for 6 months. I started watching YouTube videos. American retirees in their 60s and 70s, living in modern condos with pools, eating at restaurants every night, surrounded by people who seemed genuinely happy to see them. And yes, I noticed the young women too. Beautiful, attentive, making these older men feel valued again. I wasn't naive, at least I didn't think I was. I understood there was probably an economic component. But the videos made it seem fair. Companionship and care in exchange for financial security. Both sides getting what they needed. My pension and savings weren't huge, but in Thailand, according to these videos, they'd make me comfortable. I could escape the cold, the loneliness, the feeling that my life was over. When I told my kids, they weren't thrilled. Dad, you don't know anyone there, Sarah argued. You don't speak the language. What about healthcare? My son Mike was more direct. These young women aren't interested in you, Dad. They want your money. I was offended. Did they think I was so pathetic that the only way someone would spend time with me was for money? I wasn't even looking for romance. I just wanted somewhere warm where my money went further. I've worked my whole life, I told them. I deserve some happiness in my final years. Final years. That phrase hit me like a punch to the gut. But it was true. At 67, with friends dying and my body falling apart, I wasn't thinking about another 20 years. I was thinking about maybe 10 good ones left, so I did it. Sold the house, put money aside for my grandkids' college funds, packed 2 suitcases, and boarded a flight to Bangkok. The feeling of liberation as that plane took off was intoxicating. Watching Chicago disappear below me, I felt hope for the first time since Carol died. If I'd known what was waiting for me in Thailand, would I have stayed? Some days I think yes, but then I remember what came after the pain, how sometimes you need to lose everything to find what really matters. That flight marked the end of Sean the widower, the invisible old man. Little did I know it was also the beginning of the most expensive education of my life. The heat hit me like a wall when I stepped out of Suvarnabhumi Airport. It was October, but felt like the hottest summer day in Chicago. Instead of complaining, I smiled. No more snow shoveling for this old man. Those first few weeks felt like winning the lottery. I'd rented a 2-bedroom condo in North Pattaya through an online agent. Nothing fancy, but it had a balcony overlooking a community pool and came fully furnished. For $600 a month, what wouldn't cover a week in some Chicago basement apartment. Every morning I'd wake up to sunshine streaming through my windows. I'd make coffee and sit on that balcony, watching palm trees sway in the breeze. No deadlines, no responsibilities, just me and the rest of my life stretching out before me. I explored my neighborhood like a kid in a candy store. Food stalls where I'd point and smile, receiving plates of pad thai or green curry for less than a Chicago coffee. The locals seemed genuinely happy to see me, waving and calling out, "Sawadee crap." At night, I'd walk to Walking Street or one of the expat bars. That's where I met the Pattaya Brotherhood, retired Australians, Brits, Americans, Germans who'd made the same leap I had. "Best decision I ever made," said Marcus, a retired plumber from Sydney. "Been here 6 years, got a lovely Thai lady, eating like a king, living in sunshine. What more could you want?" They welcomed me with open arms, showing me which visa agent to use, which hospitals had English-speaking doctors, which restaurants wouldn't rip off foreigners. I felt like I'd joined an exclusive club. And yes, I noticed how young women would approach our tables, smiling and attentive. Some of the guys had steady girlfriends who'd join us. Others seemed to have different companions each week. "Just be smart about it," warned Frank, a 75-year-old from Texas. "Know what you're getting into, and don't confuse business with love." I nodded like I understood, but I didn't. Not really. During those first 3 months, I kept busy building my new life. Opened a Thai bank account, found a gym, bought a motorcycle to get around town. I was feeling younger than I had in years. The calls with my kids became less frequent. When they asked how I was, I'd share only the good parts, the weather, the food, my new friends. I didn't mention the nights I'd wake up disoriented, reaching for Carol before remembering she was gone, and I was halfway around the world. "You sound happy, Dad," Sarah said during one call, relief mixed with worry in her voice. I was happy, in that surface-level way you can be when everything is new and exciting. I didn't understand the currents running underneath this paradise. 3 months in, I thought I had it figured out. I'd learned basic Thai phrases, knew which visa to get, could handle baht currency without converting everything to dollars. I felt confident, maybe too confident. That's when I met Ploy and everything changed. I met her at the international hospital during a routine checkup. My blood pressure medication needed adjusting, and the doctor wanted to monitor me for a few hours. That's when she walked into my room. Ploy wasn't dressed flashy like the women in the tourist areas. Simple blue scrubs, hair pulled back professionally, small glasses that made her look intelligent. She was a nurse's aide, assigned to check my vitals every hour. The first thing I noticed wasn't her beauty, though she was beautiful. It was her gentleness, the way she'd carefully take my blood pressure, making sure the cuff wasn't too tight, how she'd notice when I was uncomfortable and adjust my pillows without being asked. "You must be careful with this medicine, Mr. Sean," she told me, her voice soft but concerned. Different from America. Climate, food, stress, all affect blood pressure. When I was discharged, I thought that would be it. But as I was signing paperwork, she approached me. "Excuse me, Mr. Sean, you have someone to drive you home? This medicine make you dizzy first few days." I didn't. I'd planned to take a taxi. She hesitated, then offered to call her cousin who drove a taxi. "Better price for you," she said. During the ride, I found myself talking to her. Really talking. About Carol, about missing my grandkids, about feeling lost sometimes in this new country. She listened in a way that made me feel heard, understood. My grandfather, same situation, she said quietly. Lost grandmother 2 years ago. Very sad, very alone. Hard to start new life when you're old. Something about her directness, her honesty, broke through walls I'd built up. When we reached my condo, I asked if I could buy her dinner sometime, just to thank her for her kindness. She hesitated. I work many hours, Mr. Sean. Also take care of my mother. Just once, I said, please, it would mean a lot to me. She agreed, and we met 3 days later at a quiet seafood restaurant away from the tourist areas. She showed up in a simple white dress, no makeup except a little lipstick. We talked for hours. She told me about growing up poor in Izayan province, her dream of becoming a full nurse but not having money for school, how she sent most of her salary to support her mother and younger brother. I told her about building highways across America, about watching my kids grow up, about the pride I felt in creating something that would last. "You very lucky to build. Things that help people," she said. "I only clean, give medicine, not important work." "Taking care of people is the most important work there is," I replied. 3 days later, I couldn't stop thinking about her. The way she'd gently correct my terrible Thai pronunciation. How she'd slow down when walking with me, noticing my knees were bothering me without making a big deal about it. She made me feel seen, valued, alive again. I knew what people would think. Old foreign man, young Thai woman. I wasn't completely blind to the stereotypes, but Ploy seemed different. When her brother needed school fees, she never asked me for money. Instead, she picked up extra shifts at the hospital. That's when I offered to help. Not because she hinted, but because I wanted to. She refused at first, tears in her eyes. "Cannot take money from you, Mr. Sean, not right." "It's not charity," I insisted. "It's what people do for each other when they care." Eventually, she accepted, promising to pay me back someday. That promise, those tears, they felt real to me. Things moved quickly after that. She introduced me to a lawyer who helped with my visa extension, showed me how to set up online banking, found me a better condo with an ocean view for less money. "I worry about you alone," she said. "Old building not safe, water not clean." When her lease ended and rent increased, it seemed natural to suggest she move in. We were spending every evening together anyway. She cooked authentic Thai food, helped me practice the language, reminded me to take my medication. I called Mike to tell him about Ploy. Long silence on the phone. "Dad, you barely know her," he finally said. "I know she makes me happy," I replied, feeling defensive. "I know she cares about me. Just be careful, okay? Don't rush anything," but I did rush. At my age, what was I waiting for? Every morning I woke up next to her felt like borrowed time, a gift I never expected after Carol died. My expat friends gave me knowing looks at the bar. Some congratulated me, others seemed concerned. "Moving pretty fast, aren't you, Sean?" Frank from Texas observed. I brushed them off. They were just jealous or cynical from bad experiences. Ploy wasn't like the women they warned me about. She was saving money, planning for our future, talking about taking care of me when I got older. For the first time since arriving in Thailand, I didn't feel like a tourist. I had someone to belong with, someone who made me feel needed. If only I'd looked closer at what was happening around me, instead of just what was happening inside my heart. Looking back, I can see exactly where things started going wrong. But when you're 68 years old and falling in love for the first time in 3 years, you ignore warning signs that would stop a younger man cold. It started small. Ploy's cousin Nim showed up at our condo one evening without calling first. She need place to stay just 2 nights, Ploy explained. Family problem. Those 2 nights became 2 weeks. Then Ploy's mother arrived from the village for a short visit that stretched into a month. Her brother Kai needed somewhere to stay while looking for work in Pattaya. Before I knew it, my peaceful retirement condo had become a boarding house. 4 or 5 people. This normal in Thailand, Ploy explained when I finally mentioned it. Family help family. You are family now. I wanted to be respectful of her culture, so I kept quiet. But I was paying all the bills. Electricity that suddenly tripled. Food for 5 instead of 2. Even giving Kai spending money when he asked, which was often. Then came the ceremonies. First, it was making merit at the local temple, donating money for good karma. I was happy to contribute, thinking it was a one-time thing. But soon there was a constant stream of family occasions requiring donations. Each time the suggested amount grew larger. In our culture, the man with most money shows most respect, Ploy explained when I questioned a particularly large request. You want my family think you don't care about me? The way she said it made me feel cheap for asking, like I didn't truly understand or appreciate her culture. My expat friends started noticing changes. I was showing up less to our regular meetups. When I did come, I'd check my phone constantly, worried about messages from Ploy asking where I was and when I'd be home. You okay, Sean? Marcus asked one night after I cut our drinks short again. Haven't seen much of you lately. Just busy, I said. Ploy's family needs help with some things. He gave me a long look but didn't say anything. At home, I felt increasingly isolated. Ploy had taken over all household management, handling bills, arranging repairs, even dealing with my visa renewals. At first, it was a relief not having to navigate the language barriers myself. But gradually, I realized I had no idea what was actually happening with my own finances. How much was the electric bill this month? I asked once. Very expensive, she said vaguely. Price go up in hot season. When I pressed for the actual amount, her eyes filled with tears. You not trust me after everything I do for you? That became the pattern. Any questions about money led to tears or accusations that I didn't appreciate her sacrifices. So I stopped asking. I told myself it was cultural differences, that I was being too Western, too controlling about things. The physical side of our relationship changed too. In the beginning, Ploy had been affectionate and loving, but as months passed, there were always excuses. She was tired from taking care of her family. She had headaches. It wasn't a good time. I didn't want to pressure her, so I accepted it. Instead of intimacy, she'd bring me beer and snacks, massage my sore shoulders, make sure I took my medicine. It felt more like being a patient than a partner. My pension that had seemed so generous when I arrived was now barely lasting 2 weeks into each month. I started dipping into my savings, telling myself it was temporary. Just until Kai found a job. Just until her mother's health improved. When I suggested moving to a smaller place to save money, Ploy cried for hours. You want my family live on street? She sobbed. I give everything to take care of you and you want throw away my family. I felt terrible, like the worst kind of selfish foreigner. So I dropped the subject and withdrew more savings from my account. At night, lying awake while Ploy slept peacefully beside me, I'd wonder how things had changed so fast. I was no longer the confident retiree enjoying his golden years. I was confused, increasingly anxious about money, and completely dependent on someone I was beginning to realize I didn't understand at all. But the worst part wasn't the money or the cultural misunderstandings. It was about to discover what our relationship actually meant to each of us, and that revelation would destroy everything I thought I knew about my new life in Thailand. Everything fell apart on a Thursday afternoon in March. I'd planned something special for our 6-month anniversary. The same seafood restaurant where we had our first real date. I was having a quick beer with Frank at our usual expat hangout when Tony burst in looking shaken. He wouldn't meet my eyes at first. Sean, I saw Ploy today, he finally said, at Central Festival Mall with a young Thai guy. I laughed it off. Probably her brother. He's been staying with us. Tony shook his head slowly. They were holding, hands, Sean, kissing. I watched for 10 minutes to be sure. The motorcycle ride home was a blur. My hands shook so badly I almost crashed twice. The condo was empty except for Neem, who said Ploy was helping at hospital. For the first time in months, I really looked around our home. In the bedroom, I found receipts hidden in Ploy's dresser. Expensive phones, jewelry, designer clothes I'd never seen her wear. A bank book I didn't recognize showed regular deposits, amounts that matched withdrawals from my account. When I checked my own bank balance, my stomach dropped. My savings had shrunk from $180,000 to less than $30,000. Large withdrawals I had, no memory of authorizing. Ploy came home around midnight smelling like alcohol and cigarettes. Where have you been? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. At hospital, I tell you already. She wouldn't look at me. I know about the guy at the mall. Her face changed, not guilty or apologetic, just annoyed that I'd found out. You spy on me? She snapped. You check on me like I'm prisoner? Is he your boyfriend? She sighed like I was a child who didn't understand basic facts. Sean, you know Thailand different from America. Young woman take care of old man take care of family is normal. What's his name? She waved dismissively. David. Same all Farang look same to me. The sweet hospital worker I'd fallen in love with vanished before my eyes, replaced by someone who'd been playing a role. Not even carefully. How many other men are you seeing? Why you ask this? You want me not help my family? Her tears seemed rehearsed now, mechanical. Answer the question. She stared at me for a long moment, then shrugged. 4. 1 Australian, 1 German, 1 English. You. Just like that. Like it was the most natural thing in the world. Do they know about each other, about me? No one ask, everyone happy, only you make problem. I collapsed into a chair, the room spinning around me. I thought you loved me. She actually laughed. A cold, bitter sound. You same age my grandfather. In Thailand, granddaughter respect grandfather, not love like husband. Everything made sense now. The separate bedrooms when family visited, the way she'd avoid being seen with me in certain areas of town, the mysterious phone calls in rapid Thai. I want you to leave, I said. Tonight. That's when she smiled, really smiled, for the first time in months. This condo in my name now. You check. Also car in my name, bank account joint name. You want me leave, you leave. My world imploded. Not just the money, though, that was devastating. It was realizing that my entire 8 months had been a carefully orchestrated performance. Every smile, every kind word, every moment I thought we were building something real. All lies. She packed a bag and left to stay with a friend. I sat alone in what I discovered wasn't even my home anymore, surrounded by furniture I'd paid for, but apparently didn't own. In one conversation I'd lost everything. My home, my savings, my relationship, and most painfully my belief that I understood anything about this country I'd chosen for my final years. The next few weeks were the darkest of my life. I slept on Frank's couch while trying to figure out what to do. My home, my car, my bank accounts, almost everything was gone or tied up in Ploy's name. How could I not see it? I kept asking Frank, who'd bring me coffee each morning while I stared at the ceiling. Because you wanted to believe, he'd say. We all do when we first get here, makes us vulnerable. The humiliation was worse than the financial loss. Word spread fast in Pattaya's small expat community. Old Sean got cleaned out by his young girlfriend. Some guys avoided me like my bad luck was contagious. Others tried to share similar stories to make me feel better, but it just made me feel like an even bigger cliché. I finally called Mike back in Chicago, telling him the truth. The silence on the other end seemed to last forever. Do you need money to come home, Dad? He finally asked. The thought of crawling back to Chicago, broken at 70, was too much for my pride. No, I lied. I've got enough saved. Just sorting some things out. My health crashed along with everything else. Couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. My blood pressure spiked so high, I ended up back in the same hospital where I'd met Ploy. One of the nurses recognized me. Where your pretty girlfriend? She asked innocently. I just turned my face to the wall. The worst part was that I still missed her. Not the real Ploy. I was starting to understand I'd never known her. I missed the person I thought she was. The warmth I thought we'd shared. Some nights I'd wake up reaching for her, then remember everything all over again. I found the cheapest room I could rent, a tiny studio with a shared bathroom down the hall. No air conditioning, just a broken fan that pushed hot air around. My pension barely covered rent and basic food. I kept thinking I should hate Thailand, hate the culture that seemed to accept what Ploy had done as normal business. But the more Thai people I encountered in my new, humbler circumstances, the more I realized something important. What happened to me wasn't Thai culture. It was a specific person taking advantage of my ignorance and loneliness. My new landlady, a grandmother in her 60s, would sometimes bring me extra food when she cooked. The old man who ran the noodle cart on my street started giving me larger portions without charging more when he saw how thin I'd gotten. Small kindnesses with no angle, no scheme, just human decency. I'd come to Thailand looking for paradise and found a painful lesson instead. But in losing everything, I was starting to see the country clearly for the first time. Not as a fantasy, but as a real place with real people, good and bad just like anywhere else. After hitting rock bottom, I didn't expect things to get better, but life has this way of surprising you when you're at your lowest point. 4 months after everything fell apart, I was sitting at a local noodle stand, not one of those fancy places for tourists, just plastic stools on the sidewalk where soup cost 40 baht. An older Thai man sat down next to me. Had to be in his 70s like me, but he looked stronger, more comfortable in his own skin. "You Farang live here long time?" he asked in broken English. I nodded, not really wanting to talk. "Me see you walk same place every day. Look very sad. Something wrong?" Something about his directness broke through my shell. Maybe I was just tired of being alone with my thoughts. "I lost everything," I admitted. "My girlfriend, she took it all." I expected judgment, or maybe that knowing look other expats gave me. Instead, he nodded thoughtfully. "My name's Somchat," he said, extending his weathered hand. "I teach school before retire. Now I help at temple teach English to monks. You want job?" That was the beginning of my real education in Thailand. Somchat introduced me to a group of retired Thai men who met at the local temple every morning to exercise, play checkers, and talk about life. None of them wanted anything from me. They just accepted me as another old guy trying to figure things out. Through broken English on their part and my slowly improving Thai, I learned about their lives, their struggles with adult children who'd moved to Bangkok, their worries about healthcare, their frustrations with how fast everything was changing, universal old man problems that crossed all cultural boundaries. Somchat's daughter Mayli, a university professor in her 40s, sometimes joined us. She spoke perfect English and helped translate more complex conversations. Through her, I started understanding Thai culture beyond the surface level that most tourists and expats never penetrate. "What happened to you is not Thai culture," she told me one afternoon. "That's just bad people doing bad things. They exist everywhere." The teaching job at the temple didn't pay much, just enough to supplement my pension. But it gave me purpose. Helping young monks practice English pronunciation, seeing their faces light up when they mastered a difficult word. I moved to a better apartment. Still simple, but clean, and with my own bathroom. I made Thai friends my own age who showed me how locals really lived. Ate at food stalls instead of tourist restaurants, traveled by song thao instead of taxis. For my 71st birthday, Somchat and his friends threw me a small party at the temple. Nothing fancy, just fruit, homemade food, and genuine friendship. "Now you know real Thailand," Somchat said, patting my shoulder. He was right. I'd lost my money, my pride, and my illusions, but I'd gained something more valuable, an authentic connection to this place and its people. Not the fantasy Thailand I'd imagined, but the real one with all its complexities and contradictions. I still think about my decision to move to Thailand, but not for the reasons you might expect. Yes, I lost most of my savings. Yes, I got my heart broken by someone who saw me as nothing more than a walking ATM. Yes, I made every mistake in the book that older expats warn newcomers about. But here's what I learned from losing everything. Sometimes you need to be completely broken to become whole. The Sean who stepped off that plane in Bangkok was running from grief, loneliness, and the fear that his life was over. He was looking for a fantasy, a place where his money would make him king and young women would make him feel desired again. The Sean sitting here at 73, 3 years later, isn't running from anything anymore. I'm not telling you this story to scare you away from Thailand. I'm telling it because too many men my age make the same mistakes I did. They come here with unrealistic expectations and wallets full of money they think will solve their problems. Thailand didn't ruin my life. My expectations did. My refusal to see what was actually happening instead of what I wanted to be happening. The truth is, I'm happier now than I was during those first months when I thought I had everything. My friendship with Somchat has taught me more about contentment than all my years in America. We sit at the temple most mornings, watching young monks sweep the courtyard, talking about our grandchildren, playing chess with pieces carved from wood. I've learned to cook simple Thai dishes. I can have a real conversation in Thai now, not just point and smile. I volunteer at a local school twice a week, helping kids with their English homework. My monthly budget is tight, but it covers everything I actually need. A clean, safe apartment, healthy food, transportation, medical care. even a little left over for books and the occasional movie. Most importantly, I have genuine relationships with people who knew me when I had nothing and chose to help anyway. Last month, I got a surprise visitor. My daughter Sarah flew over from Chicago, worried sick after months of my vague phone calls about sorting things out. She expected to find me broken, maybe needing rescue. Instead, she found me teaching English to a group of teenage monks, laughing. Add my pronunciation mistakes right along with them. "Dad, you look..." She paused, searching for words. "You look peaceful." She was right. For the first time since Carol died, I felt at peace. We spent a week together. I showed her the real Thailand, not the tourist version, but my Thailand. The morning market where vendors greet me by name, the temple where I teach, the evening chess games with men who've become like brothers. I was so angry at you for moving. "Here," she admitted on her last night. "I thought you were having some kind of breakdown, chasing after young women, throwing your money away." "I was," I said, "but maybe I needed to." "Are you staying?" I looked out at the sunset, painting the sky orange and red. The same sunset I watch every evening from my small balcony. But now, instead of feeling sorry for myself, I feel grateful. "This is home now," I told her. "If you're thinking about retiring to Thailand, especially if you're older, lonely, and carrying emotional baggage like I was, listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you. First, Thailand is not a solution to your problems back home. If you're running from grief, depression, loneliness, or a sense that life has passed you by, those feelings will follow you here. A change of scenery doesn't heal a broken heart. Deal with your emotional issues before you get on that plane. Get counseling, join support groups. Learn to be content with yourself before you try to find happiness with someone else. Second, learn the language and culture before you fall in love. I don't mean a few phrases from a guidebook. I mean really understand how Thai society works. What family means here. What relationships look like between locals. Most of the expats who get scammed are the ones who never bothered to learn beyond the tourist level. They live in a bubble of other foreigners and young women who speak just enough English to separate them from their money. Third, if you do enter a relationship with a Thai woman, especially one significantly younger, take it slow. Really slow. Keep your finances separate. Don't put anything in her name. Don't support her entire family within the first year. I'm not saying all Thai women are scammers. Most aren't. But the ones who target older foreign men are professionals at this. They know exactly what lonely older men want to hear and how to make you feel like the exception to every rule you've heard about. Fourth, build a life beyond romantic relationships. Learn skills, volunteer, make friends who aren't connected to bars or dating. The expats who thrive here long-term have purpose beyond just existing in paradise. The temple work saved me. It gave me reasons to get up each morning that had nothing to do with a woman or with spending money. Fifth, have a backup plan. Keep enough money in your home country to buy a plane ticket and survive for a few months if everything goes wrong. Don't burn bridges with family and friends back home, even if they think you're making a mistake. I was lucky. I had Frank to sleep on his couch and kids who would have helped me come home if I'd swallowed my pride and asked. Not everyone does. Finally, understand that Thailand will change you, maybe in ways you don't expect. I came here thinking I'd live like a king. Instead, I learned to live like a human being. I lost most of my money, but I gained perspective I never would have found in Chicago. I learned that happiness isn't about how much you spend or how young your girlfriend is. It's about finding meaning, connection and peace with who you are. The heat still hits me like a wall when I step outside, but now I smile for different reasons. Not because I'm escaping something, but because I'm home. 3 years ago, I thought retirement in Thailand would be about living my remaining years in comfort and pleasure. Instead, it became about discovering I had more years left than I thought, and learning how to make them count. That sunset I mentioned at the beginning, I still watch it every evening from my tiny balcony. But now, instead of feeling sorry for myself, I say a quiet thank you. For the friends who helped me when I had nothing, for the country that taught me hard lessons I needed to learn, for the unexpected gift of starting over at 70. The golden years aren't golden because of what you have. They're golden because of what you've learned who you've become and how much grace you can find in whatever time remains. Paradise isn't a place. It's a state of mind you carry with you wherever you go. Dear Sean, it's me, you, writing from 3 years in the future. I know you won't listen to this advice because I didn't listen when others tried to warn me, but maybe someone else reading this will. You're about to make the biggest mistake of your life and also the most important journey you'll ever take. Both things can be true at the same time. That plane ticket to Bangkok you're holding? Buy it. But not for the reasons you think. You're not going to find a young woman who loves you for who you are. You're not going to live like a king on your pension. You're not going to escape the grief of losing Carol or the fear of growing old alone. What you are going to find is something more valuable than any of that fantasy nonsense. You're going to discover that at 70, you can still learn, still change, still build meaningful relationships with people who have nothing to gain from your friendship except your friendship itself. You're going to learn that respect isn't something you can buy, but something you earn through humility, kindness, and genuine interest in other people's lives. You're going to discover that the loneliness you're running from isn't cured by a young woman's attention, but by finding ways to be useful, to contribute, to matter in small but real ways. That $180,000 you're about to lose, consider it tuition for the most important education of your life. Expensive, yes, but some lessons can't be learned any other way. The humiliation you're about to endure will strip away everything you think makes you valuable: your money, your American passport privilege, your fantasy of being desired. What's left after all that is gone is what actually matters: your capacity for friendship, your willingness to help others, your ability to find joy in simple things. 3 years from now, you'll be sitting in a temple courtyard with a group of Thai men your own age, laughing at a joke told in broken English and worse Thai. You'll have maybe $500 in your bank account, a small apartment that doesn't even have air conditioning, and a teaching job that pays almost nothing. And you'll be happier than you've been since Carol died. Not because you've forgotten her, you'll never stop missing her, but because you'll have learned that grief doesn't have to be the end of your story. It can be the beginning of a new chapter, one where you honor her memory by living fully instead of just existing. The monks you'll teach will remind you that impermanence isn't something to fear, it's what makes every moment precious. The Thai friends who accept you despite your mistakes will show you that dignity comes from how you treat others, not how much money you have. You'll learn to say thank you in 17 different ways in Thai, but more importantly, you'll learn to mean it. So go ahead, old man, buy that ticket, make those mistakes, lose that money. Get your heart broken by someone who never saw you as anything more than a paycheck. Because on the other side of all that pain is a kind of peace you can't imagine right now. A life that matters not because of what you have, but because of who you've become. The sunset you'll watch tonight from your tiny balcony in Pattaya, it's the same sun that rises over Chicago every morning. But you'll finally understand that home isn't where you were born or where you built your first life. Home is where you learn to be the person you were always meant to be. Take care of yourself, Sean. The journey is going to be harder than you think, but also more beautiful than you can imagine. With love and hard-earned wisdom, your future self. PS. When you meet Ploy at the hospital, enjoy the kindness she shows you in those first few weeks. It might not be real love, but it's real kindness, and it will remind you that you're still capable of feeling something. Just don't mistake kindness for love, and don't mistake being needed for being loved. There's a difference, and learning. It will save your life. PS. Call your kids more often. They love you more than you know, and they're worried sick about you. Your pride isn't worth their peace of mind. Sean O'Connor still lives in Pattaya, Thailand. He teaches English at Wat Chai Mongkon Temple 3 mornings a week and volunteers at a local school. He speaks conversational Thai, plays a decent game of chess, and can make pad griprao that doesn't send him to the hospital. He has never remarried, but he's no longer looking. His children visit him once a year, and he visits them. He has exactly enough money for his simple needs, exactly enough friends for meaningful conversation, and exactly enough purpose to get up each morning with gratitude. He still misses Carol every day, but the missing has transformed from a wound into a tender remembrance. He is, in his words, finally free.